as you say, that there has been some black holes in terms of what we know about policies that might be implemented. But one big issue that has come up from both camps actually is tariffs. Um, Trump has shown rather a lot more policy leg on this than Harris, if I may put it like that. Let me throw in an example here from Trump and followed by a reply from Harris.
To me, tariffs are a very beautiful word. It's a word that's going to make our country rich again. Without tariffs, we have a busted country. We owe $35 trillion.
You don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues.
Obviously, Trump has said a lot about tariffs. Apart from that, they are, for him, the solution to America's economic ills, more or less. There's been a lot less detail from Harris, except to say she takes that very different view we heard there. And it should worth pointing out the Biden administration hasn't really rescinded a lot of the previous Trump tariffs that were implemented in his first administration, and it added a fair few of its own. So what does all this mean? Stephen, is Harris all about continuity as far as we can tell? And is Trump all about ramping up tariff wars? Is it that simple?
Well, I'd weave a little bit of nuance into that, Michael. Keep in mind with Trump, Trump considers himself to be the consummate negotiator, right? It's all about the art of the deal. Now, he's talked about these astronomical tariffs. It's possible that in his mind, to the extent he's thought this through and has a clearly articulated vision, at least within his own mind, it's possible that these could be used for negotiating leverage. So in other words, the idea would be to either implement or to threaten to implement these astronomical tariffs and then use that as leverage to negotiate quasi-mercantilist trade agreements. We know that Trump views a trade surplus or a trade deficit as like a sports scorecard to indicate who's quote unquote winning or losing in the game of international trade. And so he might use this as leverage to sort of force negotiation into, as I said, a mercantilist trade deal. And I think we've got a real world example of it, the phase one agreement that was negotiated during his first term, which committed China to a number of specified purchases of U.S. products, which in fact never happened. So clearly, Trump is articulating what I think under normal circumstances we would refer to as a shocking level of tariff increases. Let's see what happens. I think there's at least a possibility that these will be used as negotiating leverage for trade deals. Harris, for her part, this is not a woman who's ever really indicated a strong support for traditional free trade policies. She was one of only 10 U.S. senators to have voted against the revised NAFTA agreement, the USMCA. And she indicated at that time that if she had been a member of Congress during when the CPT, the TPP, which subsequently became the TPP was negotiated, she would have voted against that as well. So I don't see her removing any of the Trump era tariffs that the Biden administration had maintained. And I don't think there's any question that she won't hesitate to use additional tariffs when or if she feels that's necessary to support U.S. workers.